Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel United unboxing. This is for Maximum Carnage, which is very loosely based on the storyline Maximum Carnage because we get some cool new villains from that. This is a almost villain-only expansion, following very much in the same way the first season of the Marvel United Kickstarters was. Enter the Sinister Six. This has the same idea. You're going to get to play against the new version of the Sinister Six, which is some Spider-Man Maximum Carnage crossover stuff, which is really cool. This is a retail box, so you can go and you should hopefully be able to pick this up. But this also has, this video also has some Kickstarter exclusives that were available in this box as well if you got this during Kickstarter. So they will have the little Kickstarter Maximum Carnage KS on the back. So it does not include any new characters or miniatures like some of the other Kickstarter exclusive done. What it is going to include is this little blurb right here. It says include Sinister Six Assemble module. It uses buildings from spider-geddon, Enter the Spider-Verse, Return to Sinister Six, United promos, and Multiverse promos. What it does is it's going to show right there in the back. Is this extra piece in here, which is going to let you play as basically almost any Spider-Man villain and make your own version of the Sinister Six to play against. So instead of being stuck with the original one from the first season or this one, you can actually mix and match characters, which is a really neat little idea. But that is actually part of the Kickstarter exclusive stuff, so we'll definitely look at that towards the end. Otherwise, we're going to hop in and we're going to look at what we have. So we have a lot of new villains in here, and a new challenge. We haven't had a challenge, well, kind of like the Deadpool challenge, an extra little miniature character that comes in. So we have Dark Carnage here, who will act as a challenge mode. Otherwise, some of the new villains we have Scorpion, we have Shriek, we have Scream, we have Doppelganger, and we have Demogoblin. And then we have Morbius here as our anti-hero. So it's really fun. So you do that's why it's not a full villain set. Which is really cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop into this and see what we got. First, let's look at some brand new locations. Because we always like new locations. So on the back, they'll have Maximum Carnage. And let's get us some more New York locations. We're going to get the Statue of Liberty. I love the little chibi Statue of Liberty. It says, at the end of each villain turn, heroes may add one civilian to this location. That's not if you're in that area, that's just in general. End of turn, you may relocate any number of civilians from this location to other locations. If you do, gain one move token for each you relocate. Just kind of neat. You don't want it to overflow, which you have to kind of worry about that, the villain card coming up. But it'd be a great way to gain some extra move tokens. Cool. Up next, we're going to get Bishop Publishing. This was a rival publishing company of the Daily Bugle. If a hero in this location rescues more than one civilian here during their turn, they take 1 damage. Ooh, so this is one you don't want to do that for. And a turn, you may add 2 civilians to this token to gain 1 heroic token. They're kind of cool there. We have good old Fisk Towers. Now we can actually, incorporate this when you're playing as Kingpin or Daredevil. Play at that. End of turn, you may discard 1 card and add 1 thug to a different location with an empty slot to gain 1 wild token. This is kind of fun. They're effectively to add guys to gain different tokens. And then finally, to go with the Daredevil type theming, we're going to get Hell's Kitchen. If a hero in this location defeats more than 1 thug during their turn, they take 1 damage. End of turn, you may add 2 thugs to this location to gain a attack token. So that's pretty cool. We have 4 locations that are going to let you basically add or move around thugs and civilians around, and you get tokens based on what you do. So it's kind of a neat little system there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hop into then our first hero, or our anti-hero for the set, rather. Dr. Michael Morbius. It's Morbin time, everyone. Yes, I just said that. Alright. Yeah, so Michael Morbius is turning himself into a pseudo-vampire. Kind of thing. So he's not like a full... I don't know if he still classifies a full... Like, he's not like a full Dracula vampire. I think he can still, like, survive in the light and stuff. But he still needs plasma to kind of live. So he creates some. But yeah. He's not always the best terms. Good or bad, just depends kind of how hungry he is. Scooch this over a bit. There's his miniature here. It's purple, of course, because he's an anti-hero. Yeah, really neat. Add him to a monster deck. We have a team of monsters. It was Swamp Thing, where you can go with vampire stuff with Blade. Team up with Spider-Man. Fight against Spider-Man, of course. Alright, what does our lone hero in this set do for us? Morbius has attack. Heroic. His wild and his double wild. So he's going to start off right away like that. Then he has the power of blood. You may discard one card from your hand to the bottom of your deck to attack. And then move and heroic. Interesting. Here's another one that says Power of Blood. You may discard one card to gain a heroic, and it has moving attack. Here's a third one that lets you discard to move, and it's double attack. So it's going to kind of spend your cards to be able to do actions. So interesting. Then he also has Hunger. Defeat one thug or discard one civilian location if you do draw a card. So kind of interesting. So he's going to kind of play back and forth with his things. He can use one, he has to sacrifice a card. Another one, he's going to potentially get one, but he can just straight up defeat guys. He's got another Hunger here at the same effect, but it says Heroic, and one that has Attack. Then his last two abilities are, same card, Mesmer Gaze. Attach a stun token to a villain or henchman in your location. The next villain turn, that villain or henchman's BAM is cancelled and the stun token is discarded. Cool. So you can use these to kind of discard guys. Yeah, you're straight up defeating a thug. What's nice about defeating a thug or potentially getting rid of a civilian for that is because you don't need to have the appropriate attack or whatever. But also, if you ever have a thug that has extra hit points based on a threat card, he doesn't care. He's just going to take them out. So that is kind of a neat thing there. Alright, so that is our lone hero for the set. And then let's look at his villain version so we can fight against him. That's one thing I love about this. Even though we have the, I'm just kind of do a quick, brief glimpse as we have the new Sinister Six mode where we can fight against all 6 new villains at the same time. We do have the ability to fight all these guys separately, which is really cool. So here we have Morbius. Doesn't have any extra starting stuff. Flip him over. He has 4, 5, or 5 health. Special rules. When a hero is KO'd, before activating BAM, move Morbius clockwise to the next location with any hero. BAM. Deal 1 damage. Give 1 crisis token to a hero in Morbius' location. And if that hero has 2 or more crisis locations, they take 1 damage. Overflow. Draw a master plan card and add it face down to the storyline and villainous plot. The heroes lose immediately if they have a total of 7, 8, or 9 tokens, depending on the number of players. Yeah, so he's going to BAM and deal damage to you. And then if you have 2 or more, he's going to do extra damage to you. So that's pretty crazy. He's going to kind of like ping you, do little hits here and there. Hopefully try and take you out. And there's now, again, it was one of these neat things. There's now a way on his card to get rid of crisis tokens. There are some characters that do have cards. Heroes have ways to get rid of them. But it's not always the case. Alright. So let's look at his deck. He has his threat cards. Zoom back down a little bit. We have pseudo-vampires. So he has 6 versions of this card. So we're not going to look through all of them. They're all the same. says, bam, if there are 2 or more thugs in this location, deal 1 damage and give 1 crisis to a hero here. So you want to take these out as quickly as possible. Alright, then what does his regular rest of his deck do? He's got Hunger. If there are any civilians in Morbius' location, turn one of them into a thug. Morbius gains 1 health, may go above starting value. Same thing, but with a 2 movement. We have one with a 3 movement, a 4 movement, a 5 movement, and then we have one that's just move clockwise to the next location with the most civilians. So he got really hungry. And then we have Mesmer Gaze. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of those. We're all the same, so it's pretty straightforward. Move clockwise to the next location with any hero. Put 1 hero in Morbius location, reveals their hand. If they don't have a total of 2 or more heroes at the bottom of their cards, they must play their next card randomly. Crazy. So you gotta try and stun it. I mean, they're all the exact same, so it's always if he has to have 2 or more there. Yeah, so he's gonna be, again, a little bit easier villain, I think, to fight in the general terms of what he's trying to do or what you have to watch out for. Doesn't mean he's gonna be a pushover. Just means you're not having to, like, watch out for all these odd different special effects. Cool. Let's hop in to our next villain. And we'll back up a little bit again. Alright, we got the Scorpion, Mac Gargan. Special setup, set aside the Scorpion Suit Enhancement Master Plan. Place it on top of the starting deck. So it does say starting Master Plan card, just to keep the eye on there. Yes, he has an interesting thing there. What does he do against us? He has 5, 6, or 7 health. Special rule. Heroes starting their turn with any crisis tokens do not benefit from the symbols the previous hero card in the starlight and discard all their crisis tokens. When a hero is KO'd, they take 1 KO token. Bam, give a crisis token, deal 1 damage to the hero with the fewest crisis token in Scorpion's location. Overflow. Put 1 random cleared threat back into play in the first clockwise location with no threats if possible. Otherwise, 1 hero in any location takes 1 damage. Adding villainous plot. The heroes lose when they have a total of 4 KO tokens. Nice. So yeah, basically what he's going to try and do is bam on you to drop crisis tokens on you and do some damage, of course. But then what he does is he'll start your turn if you have crisis tokens. You just won't be able to use your stuff, so you won't be as effective. It's like he gave you a little poison sting. He disrupted you for a little bit, and then you will get to fight against him. Cool. Alright, what does his miniature look like? We'll drop the camera back down a little bit. And there's good old Mac Gargan. He's got his big tail stinger there. Of course, he got the suit from J. Jonah Jameson, who wanted to get back against Spider-Man. And getting his suit, and then shenanigans have happened ever since. Alright. Alright, so what does he do against us? He has his threat card, so he has civilians in danger. And we have 3 copies of that. It says, Scorpion cannot be damaged. Well, there's a this location if there are any civilians here. And then he has the opposite one. He has 3 copies of Criminal Network. Scorpion can't be damaged. Well, in this location if there are any thugs here. So yeah, it's kind of neat. So either he's going to use civilians as bodyguards or he's going to throw thugs in your way. Fun. Alright, he has some generic movement cards. We have a 1 bam. And another 1 bam. A 2. A 4. A 5. 5 with some different placements, and then he has move clockwise to the next location with the hero with the least crisis token, so he can bam on them. He's got another copy of that and a third copy of that. Then he has Scorpion Sting. He gets to move to give 1 crisis token, deal 2 damage to the hero with the least crisis tokens in or adjacent to his location. And he gets another one like that, but it's 4. And then his starting one, Master Plan card, is going to be Scorpion Suit Enhancement. As long as this card is spaced up on the storyline. When Scorpion bans, resolve his ban effect twice. When clear threat mission is complete, turn this card face down. This can't be turned face down by any other means. So yeah, you gotta clear some of them threats. Otherwise, he's gonna be able to do a bunch of effects twice. He's gonna become twice as deadly. Which is pretty crazy. Alright. Our next villain is gonna start off some of our talk for the Maximum Carnage storyline. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Maximum Carnage, the basic idea of it is, your Shriek, is Venom. His symbiote got out, part of it went into Cletus Cassidy, became Carnage. Carnage broke out of Ravencroft Insane Asylum, brought Shriek with him, which is always kind of funny because she has sonic abilities, which are a weakness of symbiotes. And then they kind of tried to, like, pseudo start a family. He's just trying to cause mayhem and trouble. She kind of wanted to start, like, a family with him. So they found other people. They found Doppelganger, which was an evil alternate clone of Spider-Man from the Infinity Crusade storyline. So it's an evil version of him. And then they found Doppelganger, not Doppelganger, Demogoblin, who was like an evil version of Hobgoblin at the point, got turned into an evil version of that. So those 4 teamed up. They fought against heroes in New York. Daredevil, Venom helped out Spider-Man. A bunch of other guys jumped in. I think Iron Fist was part of it. I want to say Deathlock and maybe Captain America helped out a little bit. I don't remember all of it. But yeah, that's basically Maximum Carnage. There's a bunch of the Carnage got a group of villains to help him out. So that's pretty cool. So we got Shrieker. She has set aside the Maximum Carnage Master Plan card and place on the top of the deck after shuffling. So again, starting Master Plan. At least 3 locations must have starting civilians. So, interesting. A little bit different setup there. Her health is 4, 5, or 6. Special rules. Heroes may spend heroic in a location to flip 1 thug there. Bam. And Shriek and both adjacent locations. In each of these with no heroes, flip 1 civilian there. In each of these with any heroes, deal 1 damage. And for each of them, and move them to 1 location away from Shriek. So you're going to turn civilians into thugs and damage heroes. Overflow. Flip all civilians in that location and villainous plot. The heroes lose at any point there are no civilians in play. So she's just trying to convert all the civilians into thugs. That's pretty crazy. So you want to basically go around me trying to if you can't if you can't rescue civilians, you want to at least flip them back over to thugs. But since you have to keep them in play too, so you can't just rescue them. So you also have to keep thugs into play, and you can take up as many of the thugs as you want, but you want to flip some of them back over to civilians. So it actually makes an interesting little twist on how the game works, because you can't just be like, oh, let me just rescue everybody. So cool. So let's take a look at her miniature quick. Just going to grab her card there so we have a little better visual. And there she is. Of course, she has that energy beam, so she looks a little bit cooler on the card than she is her miniature one, especially when it's not painted. But yeah, she's just showing she's got the eye patch and everything. Awesome. So what does Shriek bring to the table? she's going to have her threat cards to begin with. Her threats are first going to be Carnage. And of course she's going to have Carnage with her. Discard one civilian from this location and from each adjacent location. We have the Demo Goblin. Deal 1 damage to each hero in each adjacent location. We have Doppelganger. Deal 1 damage to a hero in this location. If there are no heroes, discard 1 civilian. And Carrion was the other one. Each hero with any crisis tokens takes 1 damage. Then give 1 crisis token to each hero in this location and in both adjacent locations. And she got some regular ones. Unless this threat is in play, each henchman ignores 1 damage during each hero's turn. And Dark Riot. Unless this threat is in play, Shriek ignores 1 damage each turn, hero turn, if there are any thugs in her location. Crazy. That's pretty cool. Interesting, different way to play as her. Alright, so then she has 1 bam, another 1 bam, a 2, a 2, a 4, a 4, a 5, a 5, and then she has Darkest Family Assemble. If any henchmen have been defeated, randomly put 2 of them back into play if possible in location with no threats. Starting from Shriek's location, proceeding clockwise. Go to the next villain turn by 1 card for each henchman brought back by this effect. She's got 2 different versions of Dark Empathy. Put 1 civilian Shrieks in both adjacent locations. And then her starting master plan card was Maximum Carnage. Add 1 thug to Shriek's location in both adjacent locations. Very cool. Alright, our next villain. We'll back up, or should I say, villains. We have the team up of Demogoblin and Doppelganger. You might be like, why are these guys teaming up? I think kind of because Demogoblin's sort of just like crazy insane. He's just like evil kill Bible. I don't think he really has too much of a thinking mind necessarily on his own. And Doppelganger definitely doesn't. He's basically more or less like a pet or a child. So special setup, Demogoblin and Doppelganger start in the same location. So you have to fight both of them. And we've fought pairs and groups before. That's nothing new. So it's always even kind of fun to get something like this. It's a little bit different. So we have Demogoblin with 3, 4, 4 health and Doppelganger with 5 or 6 and 6 health. Special rule. When a civilian is discarded, place it on the empty slot of the defeated thug's mission, if possible. When a thug is discarded, place it on the empty slot of the rescue civilian mission, if possible. When all the mission slots are filled, if half or more of the tokens on it don't match the mission, it is considered lost, not completed. When a hero is KO'd, the villains don't activate their battle. Instead, remove the top card of the master plan deck from the game. When a villain is defeated, they remain in play and act as usual. Heroes only win if both of them are defeated. Interesting. Yeah, so the bottom half, you have to defeat both of them. It's cool. The top half, where you have to worry about them potentially filling up your cards, is kind of a neat little idea. Plus, plays kind of like on, just had Shriek using stuff with civilians, Morbius using stuff. So you guys are playing around with the civilian and thug tokens, which are really fun. Deal 1 damage to each hero in Demogoblin and both adjacent locations. Then discard all civilians and thugs from Demogoblin's location. Then deal 1 damage to each hero in Doppelganger's location. And if you have an overflow, place 1 crisis token on an empty slot of the Clear Threats mission. And remove the top card of the master plan from the game. Interesting. The heroes lose if 2 missions are lost. So I'm guessing that the clear threat thing also means that they could potentially lose that one. Because if you can't complete it, yes, this when all the mission slots are filled, half or more don't match. So by discarding thugs or civilians, it takes up those, and the overflow will take up the clear threats. That's crazy. That's pretty cool, though. Alright, let's take a look at our fun little boys here. Goblin is pretty darn cool with his base. So he's got a fiery goblin glider. So again, there was a part, I want to say it was Infinite Crusade. I believe that's what it was. So yeah, they came through and they made evil versions of all the heroes you had to fight against. And this was, I think, Hobgoblin. Evil version of a lot of the characters. I think this was Hobgoblin's version. So he rides around on a fiery back. He has his pumpkin bombs. But yeah, he's basically a demon, essentially. Which is really cool. And then Spider-Man, like lots of the heroes just ended up kind of being like this, right? Twisted versions of themselves. So this is Spider-Man where he gains 6 arms. His mask is like part of his space. He's got like clawed feet and everything. But yeah, he's not really an intelligent being. He's more just kind of like, again, like a pet or a child. So he kind of always follows the directions of whoever's telling him what to do. Alright, so then part of the team, these guys will have some different cards. But we're going to have our threats first, which will show both characters on the back. So we have Dark Empathy, and we have 3 copies of that. So when they land there, deal 1 damage among heroes in this location for each civilian or thug here. And then we have 3 copies of Magic Anomalies. Heroes ending their turn in this location with 2 or more cards in their hand must discard their hand, they aren't KO'd, and draw back to 1 less card. Ooh, messing with your hand is always mean. Alright. And then they're going to have double movement cards. So they'll show each one how much space they move, like 1 or 2. And that's showing on the bottom, whoever lands there gets to do, wherever they land is where you place the cards from. So a 4 and a 2. Kind of go through each one of these. Not too much I can say about them. They're pretty straightforward. All they're trying to do is just riot stuff up. They don't have any extra special cards or effects. So I mean, 2 guys are already kind of a pain, so they don't need any extra special cards either. 3s and 5s, 2s and 0s, and the last one. Alright, we got 1 more full villain, and that is going to be a new symbiote. So back up the camera a bit. We have Scream. So at one point, much like Carnage is an offspring of Venom, Carnage eventually tried to make his own offspring, and one of them happened to be Scream. There's actually a couple of them. Or I shouldn't say, I don't know if Carnage didn't try to make them. I think they were born off of Carnage, or possibly a combination of Carnage and Venom. They're from the Life Foundation. They tried to take control of symbiotes and make symbiote like soldiers. And Scream was one of them. Scream kind of became the leader of them. And yeah, they basically were just, I don't know if they ever tried to become necessarily heroic. I think some of them tried to a little bit. But Scream never did. She was always basically evil. Just kind of depending on the host type of thing. So she has special set. Replace the Clear Threats mission with the Eradication mission card. So she gets a special mission card. Threat tokens are not used in this game. Alright, so what does she do? She has 4, 6, or 7 health. Special rule, when a henchman has 2 crisis tokens on them, immediately discard 1 and place 1 crisis token on the Eradicate mission. Heroes cannot interact with crisis token placed on henchmen and on the Eradication mission by any means. Scream cannot be damaged until 2 missions are completed and the Venom henchman is defeated. Bam, deal 1 damage to a hero in screen's location, then place 1 crisis token on the henchman in screen's location if possible. Going down. And if you have the overflow, accelerate next villain's turn by 1 card, if not already accelerated, and villainous plot. If the heroes lose, if the eradicate mission is complete. So, yeah, so once henchmen have 2 crisis tokens on them, so basically boosts up 2 crisis tokens, henchmen makes them more deadly, then they will move cards over. So let's take a look at her miniature quick, and then we'll look at her deck. Alright, so here is our lovely symbiote lady, big giant hair. Be an interesting one to paint as well, because all the different little colors in there, but it definitely looked pretty cool too. Alright, so first off, let's look at our eradicate mission card. So that's the 4 crisis spots. Very simple there. So instead of 4 threat tokens, we have 4 of those. Then we have her threat cards, which we are going to start with Psychotic Behavior. At the end of the villain's turn, play another Master Plan card. A hero in this location may prevent this effect by taking 1 damage. This threat cannot be cleared or removed from play by any means. Oh boy. Then we have Venom, who has 2 health, or per player plus 2 health. Bam, deal 1 damage in each hero location. Venom can't receive crisis tokens. He can't be damaged until the villain has become under pressure. It's very interesting. So you have to get rid of your regular, you have to get rid of your 2 of your threats to be able to, your rescue civilians, rescue, defeat thugs, to put the villain under pressure, before you can defeat Venom, and then you have to defeat Venom, and them before you can hurt Scream. So you have to cut. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to be able to do stuff, which is very interesting. And then we have the 4 other symbiotes. We have the green one, which is Lasher. Deal 1 damage to 1 hero in each adjacent location. Lasher can't be defeated or cleared. So basically, you just have to deal with these guys. So they're putting the tokens on them, crisis tokens, to eventually go to the eradication. You can't get rid of them, so you just have to focus on doing the other missions while these guys are in play messing with you. We have Phage, deal 1 unpreventable damage to each hero in this location. Agony, deal 2 unpreventable damage to 2 heroes in this location. And Riot, deal 2 unpreventable damage to 1 hero at this location. So that's pretty cool. It's a different way to play with the villains and henchmen. Alright, then she has some basic movement. She has a 1, a 1, a 2, a 2, a 3, a 3, a 4, a 4, a 5, and a 5. And then she's got Sonic Knife. It says move clockwise to the next location with a henchman other than Venom. Sonic Knife. If there are no heroes in screen's location, place 1 crisis token on a henchman there. Then bam. And then she got one that just different things, but it does it the other direction. She goes counterclockwise. Yeah, so she's just trying to go around, power up her fellow symbiotes, add crisis tokens, and yeah, that is pretty cool. Alright, so those are our 1 anti-hero and our 5 villains. So then we end up with a couple of other unique things in here. So first of all, let's look at our special challenge mode. We have the Dark Carnage challenge. There is a lot of text on this card. Yeah, okay. Sorry, make sure you're looking at this the right direction. Alright, so with a challenge mode, any other challenge, it's going to be added into just about any other mode of the game. So you can add it in when you're playing with anything if you just want to make the game a little bit more difficult for yourself. So he has 3, 4, or 5 health. Special rules. Dark Carnage is vulnerable from the start of the game, yet as long as there's any infected civilians or thugs on the board, heroes cannot attack or defeat him by any means. While there are no infected tokens on the board, heroes can attack him. So you have to deal with these infected guys that he places on the board. If the villain has been defeated, but Dark Carnage is still in play, remove all defeated villain game components, pieces, and flip this dashboard to its Dark Carnage side, replacing the defeated villain dashboard. Carnage's plot. If the hero's lose an infected token must be placed and there are none available. So alright, so he's going to do 2 things here. One, he's trying to infect villains or civilians and thugs around the board. And if for some reason you defeat the villain and he's in play, now you have to fight him. So he's going to have these little infected tokens. Look like that little event or a Carnage space symbols. So he has Carnage action before each villain or activation. Before each villain turn except for the first turn or following a villain turn. Roll the Carnage die and check the results. On a 0 to 5, move Dark Carnage clockwise a number of locations shown on the die. Then place 1 infection token below the leftmost non-infected thug civilian, if there are any. If none are in the location, add 1 thug there and add the infection token. If he rolls the Carnage symbol, move Dark Carnage clockwise to the next location with any hero. Then place 1 infection token below the leftmost infected one, if there are any. Play a thug with 1 and deal 1 damage to 1 hero in the location with 1 or more infected. So if you roll 1 to 5, he's just going to try and place 1. Otherwise, he's going to also place 1, but he's also going to damage everyone that has an infected token. So we get this big old chunky Carnage die, which has a 1, has a Carnage symbol on 2 sides of it. Otherwise, we have a 0, a 1, 3, 5, 2, 4. So we get, 0 through 5 plus 2 extra Carnage symbols. They're pretty cool. Neat big old chunky die. How do the infected tokens work? So we do want to look at that. So we have infected roles. As soon as the infected civilian is rescued or discarded, or if an infected thug is defeated or discarded, the attacked infected token is discarded and returns to the pool. If the infected thug civilian is moved to another location, it is moved with them. The infected thug is turned to a thug or vice versa. The token is not discarded. All effects of discard and move crisis tokens also infect infected tokens. So that's at least 1 extra thing. And then they just kind of swat on the bottom down there. Yeah, and it just says here, if an infection token must be placed if the pool is empty, the hero loses the game. Dark Carnage is considered a villain for all game effects. However, his activation is not considered a villain turn, but part of the main villain's turn. If Carnage ends his movement on a threat with a Carnage symbol, he does not activate it. So he's running around the board trying to place his tokens, but he's not actively working with the villain doing their stuff. Yeah, so some special setup here says, place Dark Carnage dashboard with the challenge side up. Place Dark Carnage next counterclockwise location next to the villain. Each location place 1 infected token below the leftmost civilian, if any. Place 1 infection token below the leftmost thug civilian, if any. Infection tokens must not cover or be hidden. Keep any remaining infection tokens in the side pool in reach of players. They're cool. And how many infected tokens are there? There are 6. Alright. Yeah, so it makes this a really big challenge in here. Especially it's a serious difficulty because you start with 6 infected tokens and that's all there are. So you have until he starts to roll a die. If you don't at least remove 1 infection token before he takes his turn, you're automatically going to lose the game. So that has to be your first action of the game, is to rescue a civilian or defeat a thug at your current location. Also have your special. As long as there's at least 1 on the board, he cannot be damaged or defeated. Whenever there are no infection tokens on the board, heroes can defeat Dark Carnage by attacking him and bringing his health to 0. When Dark Carnage is defeated, remove him from the game and stop rolling the Carnage die. So basically, you want also defeat him while doing this other stuff, while fighting the other villains. But you also want to hopefully defeat him first, otherwise he's going to become the main villain. The main villain is defeated, or if there are no more villains in play in case of multiple villains, Dark Carnage is still in play. Remove all the villain components, flip Dark Carnage's dashboard, replacing the defeated villain dashboard. Move all Dark Carnage's health tokens to his villain side, add the number of health tokens equal to the number of infection tokens currently in play. Then remove all infection tokens from the game. Hero must now defeat Dark Carnage to win the game. That hero must defeat the villain. The hero defeated the villain continues their turn if not already finished, and the game continues as follows. So cool. So if you beat him, then you flip this over to the Dark Carnage side. Now I'm sure someone could say, could we just fight him this direction instead of having to go through all the other stuff? You probably could. You just have to, you don't know what his health is going to be, because it's how many infected tokens, because it could be anywhere from, technically 0 up to 6, because you could have all 6 on the board by the time he gets flipped over. So it's a special rule. If when a hero is KO'd, they're eaten by Dark Carnage and removed from the game. Their hero turns are skipped, but their turn sequence doesn't change. And then Overflow, he has, if a Thug Survivor can't be added to the location, Dark Carnage gains 1 health. Villainous Plot, the heroes lose if they're all removed from the game. Carnage Activation, during each villain turn, instead of playing a master plan, roll a die, Carnage die, and check the result. Move Dark Carnage clockwise to the number of locations shown on the die, then deal 1 damage to each hero in Dark Carnage's location and both adjacent ones. Or if he has the Carnage symbol, move him clockwise to the next location, deal 2 damage to each hero in Dark Carnage's location. So yeah, when you're fighting against him, he's not necessarily super hard, because he's just trying to move and attack you. He's not doing anything else special there. But if you can't, Overflow kicks off too much, you'll keep gaining extra health. And again, per fighting him normally is just going to be, if he KOs you, you're out of the game. So instead of getting a refresh, you really have to be careful. And then secondly, his health is going to be based on how much he had at the beginning of the game, plus how many tokens he has. So he could have 6 infection tokens out, but you could have had him down to 1 health at the time, so you only have 7 health. Alternatively, he could have been still at 5 health, had 6 tokens out, he could now be at 11. So the minimum he could be at when you flip him over could be 1. He could have had 1 health left with no infection tokens. The highest he's going to ever be would be 9. Because you could have 6 tokens out, and you could have been at 5 health at max. So you can play against him at any of them if you just want to just 100% fight him on your own. Although it's not mentioned anywhere in the game. Alright, let's take a look at his miniature quick, though. We haven't looked at that yet. So he gets this darker purple, much like the Deadpool Chaos Challenge set. Just to kind of set him aside from the rest of the thing. Would have been a neat alternate thing that would have been. Because this is part of the Dark Carnage storyline. Was he was able to infect any hero that ever had a symbiote in them. Like they had their codex in them. And he's able to turn them to the sides if they've ever been a symbiote at any point. It would have been kind of a neat, interesting mechanic. Would have been like, shuffle one of his cards into everybody's deck, and if that came up, then they became evil unless the villain or heroes were able to defeat them. That would have been kind of a neat little idea too. Alright, so up next we have the other big giant mode for the game. We have the new Sinister Six. So they're going to get this big giant oversized dashboard, which will replace all the other ones. So yeah, this has a couple of extra rules here. Do not use mission guide or mission cards for this game. Do not pick any villain dashboard. Instead, place the new large Sinister Six dashboard at the center of the table. Each of the 6 villains has their own health piles, must be filled with tokens according to the number as usual. No threat cards or tokens are used in this game. Leave the location slots empty. Instead, place a weak spot card in the corresponding slot of each villain around the dashboard. Take the new Sinister Six Master Plan deck, shuffle it, place it face down next to a random location. Randomly place 2 of the villain game pieces in that 2 locations, and the next 2 on the next right, and the next 2 on the left. Villains must always be placed on top of their location's end turn slot. Heroes are placed in the opposite locations. Your board will look like this at the end of the game. You'll have weak spots around the board, their health next to each one. Villains cover up the weak spots. This is this is one of the neat modes where it's like the locations are going to be kind of cool because you have access to using their end of game turn effects potentially more often. Because as long as there's no villain on them, you can use them effects. You don't have to wait to remove cards from them. And then during the gameplay turn, villains start already under pressure, which means from the beginning they play a master card after every 2 hero turns. Each master plan shows all of the Sinister Six in a column in different order. When the cards play, activate the 2 topmost villains listed that have not been yet defeated in descending order. If one of the top villains has already been defeated, move to the next villain, and so on. The top villain moves clockwise in number of locations, activates their BAM as listed on the dashboard, then adds 1 thunder cylinder location as indicated. The next villain also moves clockwise number of locations, and then does theirs. When there's only 1 villain left, they perform both actions every turn. So it's just saying, for example, here, Scorpion goes first, he moves 1, activates his BAM. Then Doppelganger would be activated, but since he's been defeated, Morbius would go instead. When villains move their pieces out, he's placed on top of their end locations. End of turn effects. This shows this location cannot be used by heroes unless there's any villain on top of it. Heroes can only use end of turn effects in locations completely free of the villains. How to defeat them. Players don't need to complete missions in this mode. Each villain can only take damage once their weak spot has been found. Each villain has a weak spot card in their section of the dashboard showing different combination of 2 or 3 actions. During their turn, hero in the same location as the villain may use actions in order to place the same token in the corresponding slot. They also use wild symbols, action tokens, or special effects to grant actions. Once all slots have been filled, the card is removed. That villain can now be damaged. Once the villain is defeated, place their character on their section, and they're ignored. So cool. So if we look at this, it says, we're going to zoom in a little bit on the middle here. It says, overflow. If 1 or more tokens can't be added to the location, draw a master plan card, add it face down to the storyline. Special rules. When a hero is KO'd, no BAM effect is activated. Instead, add 1 master plan card face down to the storyline. Heroes starting their turn with any crisis tokens must either forfeit 1 available action on their turn or take 1 damage at the end of their turn, then discard all crisis tokens. Shrieking Scorpion. If they end their movement in a location with no heroes, move them clockwise to the next location with any heroes. So they have a little bit extra special effect. Try and get this. Alright, so let's look at each character individually. So they're going to have, we're going to have a special challenge card, which is just Maximum Carnage Challenge. Oh, this is the Carnage Challenge for Carnage. Sorry, we just got that mixed in there. Each character is going to have a weak spot card. So it just says, like, Morbius cannot be damaged until all this is complete. So he takes one attack and 2 heroic. And on the back side, just have their big picture. Scream takes 2 heroic and a move. Scorpion takes 3 heroic. Demogoblin takes a heroic and double move. Doppelganger takes 2 heroic and a move. And Shriek takes a attack, a heroic, and a move. So you have to defeat those first before they can take damage, and they just hang out at the bottom of the card here. Otherwise, it's going to show how much health they have. Everyone has, looks like 2, 3, or 4 health, with the exception of Morbius, who has, for some reason, 4, 4, and 4 health. But yeah, so then they each have their own individual BAM effect. Deal 1 damage to each hero in location in Demogoblin's location. Scorpion has deal 1 crisis token to a hero, and deal 1 damage to 1 hero in Scorpion's location. Morbius. Deal 1 damage to a hero Morbius location. If this damages a hero, Morbius recovers 1 health. Otherwise, add 1 thug to his location. So they're slightly mimicking their abilities on their cards. Doppelganger deals 1 damage to each hero in a Doppelganger's location. And Scream deals 2 damage to a hero in Scream's location if they deal 1 damage to a different hero if they're. And then finally we have Shriek, deals 1 damage to a hero in Shriek's location, then move them 1 location away from her. So cool. Alright, so then we have their cards. So they have a new set of cards that look like this. And then we'll kind of just pop through their things. So they're going to always be in different orders. So if you draw this one, each character will activate in different orders. So it'll be Doppelganger, Shriek. So they're always only going to add 2 characters in their location. So they're not going to add as many civilians or thugs as some of the other villains you face are. But you're always going to have 2 guys moving around the board, causing trouble. And you have less of a chance of figuring out who's going to do what. So we have a 1 in that order, 1 in that order, 1 in that order, that one, and that one. And then we have a 2, 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 and a 2. So they're always either going to move 1 or 2 spots. You just don't know who is going to move until you start knocking a bunch of them down and you get a better idea. So they're not going to be like wildly flying around the board, but you can at least kind of be like, you can't really gauge like, oh, I know these guys already use like their 1 and 2 spots. I know they're not going to move there. They're always going to move 1 or 2. You just don't know who, so it's hard to like avoid them. They do have 1 special card that says Combined Mayhem. Activate all undefeated villains, starting with Shriek, and go clockwise on the dashboard. So that's pretty crazy as well. Alright, so that is what we have for the retail version of Maximum Carnage. So yeah, we get a bunch of really neat characters. They do a lot of stuff playing around with thugs and villains. The Dark Carnage mode is pretty cool. You want an extra big challenge. Potentially a second villain. Some neat locations, again, which play around with thugs, civilian tokens. The whole idea is pretty cool. Then we have, if you got the Kickstarter set, we have a special new feature for the game. So again, if you're looking at getting this, just make sure, if you're ordering this online, if you want to get the special version of the Kickstarter, which will have Sinister Six assembled. Make sure you have a picture on the back of the box to show that little Kickstarter icon down there on the UPC, where it's like Maximum Carnage KS. You know, so if they're only showing the front cover, double check to make sure it's somewhere it says it's the Kickstarter, or list these as extra components, so you don't buy this and find out you don't have it. Now, if you don't own anything else currently when you buy this, this isn't going to really do anything necessarily extra for you, because you don't have any of the other characters. Although, that being said, is you could technically play any of these things. You just have to remember which character is which one. So it does, you know, if you don't have the miniatures, because it's only using the miniatures for these games from the other sets. So yeah, be kind of interesting. So you have Sinister Six assembled special rules. Let's take a look at those, say. Just some extra things for Volker. When he would take damage, if he has any thug civilian tokens, ignore the damage. He would take this target and move these tokens to his location. And Shrieking Scorpion with the angular movement with no heroes, they move clockwise to the hero at the next location. Cool. So they're going to get their own special deck of cards for moving around, their master plan cards. Plus we have weak spot cards for all the other characters. So let's hop in and see who we all else can add into this. We can add Spot. Let's actually flip them this way. We have Spot and Morlin from the Spider-Geddon retail set. I can look at how they do. Heroic and double move, double attack, and heroic. From We don't have the original Sinister Six weakness cards because they would have them. So if you want the weak spot cards for the original Sinister Six, which were Doc Ock, Vulture, Electro, Craven, Mysterio, and Scorpion, you'd have to have that set. So these are just adding ones that wouldn't have had weak spot cards already. We do have some villains from the first Kickstarter. We have Hobgoblin, who has 3 move. We're going to get Green Goblin with move and double attack. We have the Rhino, double attack and heroic. Venom with just 2 heroic, one of the easier ones to beat. And Carnage with triple attack. And then we have 3 Spider-Man villains from the Kickstarter from the Multiverse set, which were Chameleon. So this is automatically cleared if it's the last weak spot in play, can't be cleared any other way. We have the Wizard with 2 attack and move, and then we have Shocker with attack and heroic. So one thing you might, of course, ask right off the bat here is, where are the rest of the Spider-Man villains? So there's probably only a couple that weren't used so far. A big one people might be like, what about Kingpin? He's always been kind of a Spider-Man villain. He specifically, I know, wasn't included because his cards and his to use him in the way he would have been done uses his plan cards or his plan tokens, and there's no way to integrate them. They could have probably went around that and just ignored that and had him play differently. So that's the only thing, unless they just didn't really. Also, the thing is, he never has been part of a Sinister Six group. That would have been the other thing. I guess technically Moreland probably hasn't either. But at least I guess I understand that to give you an extra reason to buy this. Because I don't think most people would have bought that deck just for spot. But yeah, there's not really anybody else in there. So what we're going to do with this is really neat how this works. Before I check the cards, we're going to get a little center dial here, which looks basically like the center dial in here. So it just kind of replaces in the middle there. But it has on the outside different colored little villain faces plus some letters. So it has overflow. Tokens can't be added. Draw another master plan, add it based on special rule. When a hero is tailed, don't activate BAM. Instead, draw a master plan. Hero start on a location with any crisis token. Play randomly or forfeit one available action during their turn, or take 1 damage at the end of their turn and discard all crisis tokens. Cool. So then what we get is we get a bunch of modular boards. So I'm going to grab a few here really quick. So to replace the boards on the outside is we're going to get, let me zoom back out just a bit here. We're going to get these little modular boards on the back. We have like Chameleon, Sinister Six assembled. So we have each one of these at their health, and they're going to basically match the exact ones on here. So if we have Wizard, you could literally lay them right on top of one of those, and it's going to take up the exact same idea. So what you're doing is you are literally assembling your Sinister Six you want to fight. So you slot him in here. And then you take the Lizard, slot him in here. And if I lay this down, we have the Shocker. And we have Hobgoblin. So I could keep going all the way around. Anyone, you can slot them in whatever different order, whatever team you want. I'm going to just pop these out just so I don't accidentally snap them off for some odd reason. And we'll look at their abilities in just a second. I want to look at their cards here quick. Alright, so we have their Sinister assembled cards. Alright, so how these cards work are going to be very much like the other ones. The other 2 Sinister Six sets. So they're just going to work like this. So instead of saying, Demogoblin, then Shriek, then Morbius, or in the original one, which would have been like a Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Electro. It's just going to be A through F, so keep track on here. So, if, like, the first one is going to be whoever you had attached to F, and then whoever you had attached to A. And I think they generally just go in numerical, or not numerical, but letter order. So we have, here's A, B, C, D, E, F. Nope, because you have C down here. So it doesn't always go A, B, D. So yeah, it's going to just kind of move around. So whoever you pick. But it's nice because you can swap them around every single turn. We have the same ideas. We have a bunch of them with ones. So you just kind of fly through each one of these. But it's a neat way to, like, be able to add more stuff. And if they ever do a Season 4 of this game, and we have some with 2s here, you'll be able to do the same thing. They add 4 new Spider-Man villains in the next season, right? The ability to, if they, Sinister Six, let's say they add, like, Beetle in there. Great, now we can throw Beetle in here. You can just quickly add them into this mode. So that's a really neat idea to make the game a little bit more customizable. So this is cool. And then we have the last one, combine all undefeated things. So again, if you purchase this set and you have the Kickstarter, you already have the 6 characters to use for it. And then you get all the extra, we have all the different ones here. We'll take a look at these guys. So you get all the extra different dashboards for each one. Now you then won't have weak spots for any of the guys from the original Sinister Six set. And you won't have any of the miniatures. But you could always just substitute somebody else's weak spot or use a different miniature if you just still want to be able to play with these. It is definitely still possible until you can eventually pick them up. Well, let's go ahead and read through what all their special BAMs are. So Green Goblin. Deal 1 damage to each hero in Green Goblin's rotation. If his weak spot has not been cleared, remove all action tokens from it. Carnage. Place 1 crisis token here. Villainous plot. If there are 5 crisis tokens here, the heroes lose the game. Morlin. Deal 2 damage to 1 hero in Morlin's rotation. If that hero is killed, Morlin gains 2 health and may go above the starting value. Rhino. Deal damage to each hero in Rhino's location equal to the number of locations he entered this turn. These are a little bit thicker. These are the thicker cardboard to match like all the other thicker cardboard if you buy the thick cardboard locations. Probably just also for durability. Spot has moved clockwise to the first location with any heroes and deal 1 damage to 1 hero there and then move to the opposite location. Venom. Deal 1 damage to each hero and villain if vulnerable in Venom's location. Then 1 hero there takes 1 crisis token. Skip through these. We have the original Sinister Six. We have Dr. Octopus. Place 1 crisis token in Dr. Octopus' location. Then deal 1 damage to each hero in all locations with any crisis tokens. Now, it's also fun because he's handing out crisis tokens, but other guys can too. Sandman. Sandman gains 1 health, may go above his starting value. Deal 1 damage to each hero in his location. The Vulture. If there are any Thug civilian tokens in Vulture's location, move all of them here. Special rules for his card. Which I don't remember what I just did with that, so let's go back and take a quick look at exactly what that did. Just said, if you take damage, well, he has any thugs or civilian tokens. Ignore any damage he would take, then move these tokens to his location. So basically, he kidnaps someone, and then if he takes damage, they take it instead. Craven, the Hunter. Deal 2 damage to the first lone hero going clockwise from Craven's location. If there are no lone heroes, add 2 civilians to his location instead. Electro. Deal 1 damage to each hero in both locations adjacent to Electro. Mysterio. Give 1 crisis token to each hero in Mysterio's location. We have some of the new ones. We have Hobgoblin. Deal 1 damage to each hero in both locations adjacent to Hobgoblin. A hero can take 1 crisis token to prevent all such damage at their location. The Shocker. Deal damage to 1 hero in each location. Adjacent to Shocker, heroes damaged by Shocker treat special effects on all hero cards as blank until the end of their next turn. The Lizard. Deal 1 unpreventable damage to 1 hero in any location. The Chameleon has until the next villain turn, Chameleon can't be damaged by any thugs or civilian in his location. Then the last 6 are just the ones from the other one, which should play the exact same. So Demon Goblin, Doppelganger, and then Demon Goblin. I'm just checking to see if the exact same thing. Scorpions. Same thing, just instead he has a special rule card, which just says same as Shriek. So these are ones that were on the board, and then Shriek would be the same thing. And then it says special rules, because if on the regular board, it would have been in that little green spot there instead, so it's just why it has an extra one. Otherwise, these guys work the exact same way. Morbius gains health, adds thugs, and Scream does that. So that's pretty cool. So this is a really fun extra additional Kickstarter bonus. If you really like Spider-Man things, you like the theming of the Sinister Six mode. And even better if you have all the other sets. Again, this means the multiple sets you can buy, besides this one, obviously, is the original Sinister Six, Enter the Sinister Six from the Series 1 Marvel United. And then there were a couple of the promo characters from the Kickstarter stretch goal box. Then for Season 3, there was the spider-geddon retail set, which had more on the spot. And then the Kickstarter promo stretch goals, we had a couple more characters in this one. There was nothing in the middle during the X-Men set during year 2. None of those Spider-Man characters were in there or got added. It's definitely cool. Extra stuff to pick up with this set. Awesome. Alright, so that's what we have for Maximum Carnage. Hope you guys are enjoying the Marvel United videos. Check out the rest if you haven't. Hit me up in the comments. See you guys later. Bye.